A nice deep belly breath brings me right into the moment. Lets me let go of the rest of the day and just be present and ready to receive or give in that moment. I'm here right now, nowhere else, right? I tried to film this video yesterday. It didn't quite work out because of the fact that I was doing a water cleanse, so my brain was a little foggy, it was a little spotty, and I couldn't get words out the way that I wanted to. And it's important that I'm communicating myself clearly because we got to learn, evolve, and grow together. And how are we going to learn if we're foggy and if we're not here, right? Today, I wanted to piggyback off of my last video about conditioning, right? And we learned about conditioning and how we, without choice, when we're vulnerable between the ages of about birth and 5 to 7 years old, we inherit the way that we see the world, our core beliefs, how we respond to stress, all from our parent figures. And we do it without choice, right? We're like a blank canvas just ready to be painted on, and our parents are the painters. However, I try to make it abundantly clear that this is not a life sentence. And that is where I brought up a word that was my saving grace when I was going through my first thick of anxiety, and that is neuroplasticity. Okay, and I'll link the conditioning video up here so that you guys can check that out. Conditioning is another word that really just gave me a lot more self-compassion in my own healing journey, recognizing that a lot of the pain and the suffering that I was experiencing, it wasn't really my fault, right? And now I have the ability to unlearn and learn new. But neuroplasticity specifically was a saving grace for me because of the fact that during my thick of anxiety in 2014, in 2013, 2015, I could not see light at the end of the tunnel, right? I couldn't see past the fog of my anxiety. I couldn't see really past the negative feedback loop that I was so deeply entrenched in. The insecurities, the worries of myself not actually getting better, and just the continuous onslaught of intrusive thoughts, right? And it just took me into this spiral. However, I learned about a word during this time called neuroplasticity, which is defined as the brain's capacity to adapt and shift based off of your life experiences. Or in other words, it's the ability to adapt and change over time. And that's by Psychology Today. I want to make sure I'm giving you guys the right information. And so the reason that I want to bring this video today is because I want you, and this is like a video to my younger self because I wish I had heard this sooner, you have the ability to heal through your anxiety, right? It is entirely possible to experience that clarity, to experience that peace, and experience that happiness. And it's just a matter of shaping ourselves over a period of time. I just made a video also about how slow, sustainable daily actions lead to long-term growth. It's really important, recognizing that healing is a practice, but just recognizing that through this work and through this practice, we can evolve and we could really let go of a lot of the things that ail us, or at least just change our relationship to them, become less affected by our anxieties or the thoughts or the emotions that we're consistently feeling, right? And a really prime example of this really comes from my 2014 story when I was supposed to go to Florida Gulf Coast University. I am from Connecticut, so it's about a 3-hour plane ride. And about a month before I was going to move down there, I had to go to an orientation, right? They get you situated with your roommates who you've already connected with. They let you move some things into your room. They teach you about the school that you're going to be living at for the next, 9 months or so. And I was in the car, ready to go down there with my dad and my uncle, get into the airport, get past security lines, and I'm sitting down in front of my gate about 15 minutes before I'm going to board my plane. nature had a different plan for me at that point in time. I had one of the most intense panic attacks. I think is the most intense panic attack that I've ever experienced, where my entire body shut down. I could not think clearly, and I couldn't converse clearly how I was feeling to either my dad or my uncle. And I decided in that moment that I was forcing myself to go to Florida and that I couldn't do it. I could not go to Florida, right? And leading up to this point in time was a ton of anxiety, right? This was really at the end of a 10-month period of really intense anxiety. And I felt going to Florida, I could escape that and start new. Okay. Now that was a catalyst, because now I recognized my anxiety was getting in the way so much that I couldn't live my life the way that I wanted to. And so instead of going to Florida Gulf Coast, a 3-hour plane ride for me, I ended up going to Southern Connecticut State University, which was about a 20-minute drive from me. Really big shift, and I really had to adapt to an entirely new future. Okay? But during that time at SCSU, this Florida Gulf Coast orientation experience really instigated a lot more anxiety and now a really strong desire to get out of that anxiety so that I can live the life that I wanted to live. And so at Southern Connecticut, that's when I dived into neuroplasticity, reshaping my mind, reshaping how I respond to stress, reshaping how I respond to emotions, picking up books, and doing that 2 millimeters of growth every day, to the point where 5 years later, I was able to board another plane. Now, this plane wasn't to Florida Gulf Coast. It wasn't to California. No, it was to the entire opposite side of the world in Indonesia. I was going to take a 24-hour flight all the way from New York City to Indonesia. And this story really is, for me, a symptom of just all the growth that I was able to do in that 5-year time period. I knew that I wanted to travel outside of the country, do a volunteer program, and yet a lot of the anxiety around this experience with Florida Gulf Coast was keeping me away from it. And so now I can tell the story that I went from not being able to board a plane to Florida, 3-hour plane ride, to now being able to board a plane that's 24 hours all the way to Indonesia. And I share this story with you to just really help you visualize how possible it is to work through some of these anxieties so that they're not crippling you from living the life that you want to live. And also, hopefully, instigating you to think about what kind of life you do want to live outside of your anxiety, what kind of life you want to have for yourself, whether it's just how you want to have a relationship with yourself, places that you want to go, relationships with other people, that anxiety is currently getting in the way. And recognizing that neuroplasticity, again, is the ability to evolve and shape our minds over time. It's as simple as that. Now, I always like to end these videos with some references and some resources. And so during that 5 years or so of growth, from not being able to go to Florida to now being able to go to Indonesia, where I stayed for almost 5 months in total. I stayed for 3 months, came back for 3 months, and then I went back to Indonesia again for about 2.5 months. But in that 5-year time frame, again, I have really tried to hone in on this point of learning and growing, obviously. But a few books were read during that time that really helped me shape who I wanted to evolve into, or just who I wanted to uncover underneath that anxiety, right? And so this book is called The Talent Code by Daniel Coyle. And basically what he really tries to get across in this is that you can hardwire any skill into your brain and body through consistent practice. And he talks about he has 3 lessons in here as to how you can actually grow from one place to another place, and the steps that are involved and how to do it in the quickest way possible and in the most efficient way possible. Talent Code by Daniel Coyle. Really simple read. He does dive into some science, which I really like because it has a little bit more of a research-oriented background. And then Deepak Chopra. I'm sorry if I'm talking fast. I just, get excited when I'm talking about these things, which is good, right? It means I like it. Anyway, the other book, which I've referenced before, is Super Genes by Deepak Chopra. And in this book, he talks about another form of neuroplasticity. Maybe not neuro, but it's called epigenetics, where through the different lifestyle practices that we have, we can turn on and off certain genes through something called gene methylation that allow us to express different aspects of ourselves through different environments. And so he uses one example about identical twins that were separated at birth, and that one twin was entirely different than the other twin based on the environments that they grew up in and the different tools and skills that they were taught as they grew up and that they learned. And so he incorporates meditation in this, how we eat, sleep, etc., all the foundations of what growth looks like and the different steps that we could take towards that growth. So this is also another really good book. And those talk a lot about, again, epigenetics and neuroplasticity and just our ability to shift into a greater version of ourselves, becoming whole and letting go of a lot of that anxiety. And so I invite you to please share some of your story underneath in the comments here, or reach out to me on Instagram, where I mostly am, and just share with me what exactly is your anxiety holding you back from? What kind of things do you want to have in your life? It could be as simple as a better relationship with a family member or a friend, or it could be going to Indonesia and doing some type of nonprofit work. Whatever it might be, and it could be both or multiple things, what is your anxiety holding you back from, and where do you want to go? Where can you apply this neuroplasticity, and where can you apply this learning, right? This was my saving grace because it gave me the light at the end of the tunnel, something to work towards. It gave me some hope and some motivation to move towards something, right? We can heal through our anxiety. We could experience that clarity, that peace, and that happiness because we are learning, we are growing, and we are evolving slowly but surely together. If you feel like this video can help somebody else, please share it with them. And I don't typically ask at the end of my videos to like or subscribe, but it could get these videos viewed by more people that could benefit from them. So I do really appreciate if you could, just comment, like, or subscribe, or just share this with somebody who you think could really benefit. Bada bing, bada boom. Much love to you. And again, 2 millimeters of growth just every single day. That's it. Equates to a lot of growth at the end of the year. Enjoy.